Welcome back to the Off-Grid Current with Lithionics. I'm Gill, your host, and this week we have two very pressing topics. We frequent your Facebook messages and we see you guys talking all about our Bluetooth app and charging, so we've got some of our engineering experts here to discuss those two topics. We have Rich Horner, who is an embedded software architect, as well as Nick Stoll, who is an electrical engineer, and we're going to get to the bottom of all of your Bluetooth and charging questions. Let's get into it. So we have a special guest here today with us, Rich Horner, and he is the embedded software architect here at Lithionics. He is fairly new to the team, but he's already doing so much to change the way that our software works and making improvements. But he's also the one who is in charge of working on our app. Rich has a wealth of knowledge that we want to pick at his brain. Rich, I'd just love to hear from yourself. Tell everyone a little bit about your background.
I started here early in 2025, and my background is I've got over 30 years of software development, focusing on controlling electronic devices, in particular through wireless interfaces like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and educational backgrounds in electrical engineering and mathematics. So that kind of blends in nicely with developing software for battery controllers. So
that's great. So let's get right into the app. For anyone who's listening, there will be photos on screen of each of the pages. So if you want to, you can follow along. We do get a lot of questions about the app. So when you open the app, it's actually going to show you this home page, and you're going to want to select your battery. And can you just identify, how do people know which one is their battery?
Well, it's done by serial number, so you can identify based on the serial number of your battery, or if you've given it a new name, you can identify it by name, and then that's what shows up in the connection screen.
Yeah, and you'll want to make sure that your Bluetooth is on and that your battery is on, right?
Yes.
Some people forget to do that.
Yes, got to push the button first.
Yes. All right. Once you do select your battery, you'll be taken to this home page, which, me looking at this, I think I know some of it, but Rich, why don't you take us through each little section? So first we have this battery with the percentage.
Right. So everyone should be familiar with the fuel gauge. 0 to 100%. And so that's the first thing that jumps right out at you. Then we'll give you some other statuses like voltage, current, temperature, and people will know what that means. Probably what they're not going to be familiar with is the status code. So we don't expect you to know what these individual digits are going to mean. So if you click on the status code button, it will then tell you exactly what it means. So there'll be a separate screen that comes up to help you out, and it'll give you exactly what the state of your battery is in.
And that means if there's something wrong with it, it's going to tell you.
Yep, it'll tell you exactly what's wrong.
What are some common codes that people will see on their screens?
Well, something like if the battery is in over temperature, or if there was some sort of alarm for, say, overcurrent or something like that, that will show up in the status code.
So the next screen is going to have a lot of descriptions, numbers. We have the battery ID, and that will identify whether it's your first, second, or third battery. Then we have the status code. So a lot of similar numbers to the first page. Now, one thing I'm noticing on here, and Rich, I'm wondering if you can explain this, the battery voltage says 13.28 V. So that's above 12 V, right?
Well, that's called your battery nominal voltage. So a 12-volt battery is going to have a nominal voltage above 13. So the first page that you get to in the app is just your general status, state of charge, and all this other stuff that most people are interested in. There's a few power users that want to know way more about what's going on inside the battery. And that's what when you swipe left here, that's when you start getting into the details here. So if somebody doesn't understand exactly what the nominal voltage of a battery is supposed to be, they can always just defer straight to the state of charge, which that normalizes everything for you. This tells you exactly how much battery you have left.
And sometimes people see the state of charge going up and down, dropping significantly. What's kind of the explanation behind that, seeing those changes so quickly?
Well, so mostly fast changes in state of charge are going to be, if you see a sudden change, it could be because you suddenly put a load on there and the algorithm hasn't adjusted yet. It might be an initial dip and then it'll adjust as a load comes online or load goes offline. If you see a steady change, that could be because you are discharging or charging a battery. So it depends on how fast the change you see for state of charge.
A frequent question we're getting in our Facebook groups is that they have a very low state of charge and their battery isn't working. What is going on there?
Well, that's the BMS protecting your battery. There's recommended no lower than discharge rate. We have a couple of thresholds. One's called reserve voltage cutoff, and then we also have another threshold called low voltage cutoff. And your BMS is going to protect you. So if you hit this reserve voltage level, the BMS automatically shuts off. And protect the battery, you need to start charging at this point. Stop using your battery and start charging. Now, in some rare cases, the user might override this threshold and continue to discharge a battery. And then you'll hit a second threshold that says, absolutely, you cannot go below this anymore or you will damage your battery, and it stops at that point and you have to start charging. So that's what happens when you discharge a battery and you see this feedback in the app saying we've hit some sort of cutoff voltage and we're now not allowing the battery to discharge at this point to protect it.
So essentially they have to plug the battery back in. Is that most of the time what the issue is?
Yep, just start charging.
So don't let it get too low, otherwise it won't work. And that's just to keep it from dying completely, right?
Yeah, it's to prevent cell damage. So we're protecting the battery. That's the job of the BMS, and the BMS is doing its job.
I love that. Great. And then another thing that you can do from the app is remote diagnostics. So can you walk us through how to do that?
So when you are every time you connect the app, the Li3 app to a battery, behind the scenes it starts logging, and what it's logging is some information that's going to be very helpful, diagnostic information as far as understanding what state the battery is in. And in some cases where the level of support needs to go escalated beyond standard user, this information is going to be crucial for us. So it'll save all this logging information, and then the user can then send it to us. It'll tell you what file name, and then you just send it to us via whatever way you feel like.
Yeah, so really convenient for someone that wants quick answers. Well, Rich, is there anything else that's coming up from Lithionics and you from a software side? We know you're working hard back there in the engineering office. Is anything exciting coming up?
Oh yeah, we have a
We're really looking forward to that, and we will definitely have to have you back on here to explain. But thank you so much, Rich. It was great having you on the show, and we love to hear about the Bluetooth app, so thanks. We saw so many questions about charging that we had to get Nick on the podcast, Nick Stoll. He is an electrical engineer, and he could probably answer any question that you have about chargers. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been working here at Lithionics?
Yeah, so I'm an electrical engineer. I've been at Lithionics for about 4 years now. And typically I deal with a lot of application and testing projects. So that means I spend a lot of time hands-on with our batteries and the charging products that we sell to our customers.
So he's the perfect guy for these questions, I think. And I think we just start really simple. How do you know that your battery is charging when it's plugged into shore power?
Well, the first thing is this all depends on what RV you have.
Right.
But, the vast majority of RVs have some sort of control panel in them. They may be dedicated to your individual devices like chargers, but they may actually be integrated. But one common thing that they have is that they almost always tell you what charging mode or the state that the charger's in and what sort of power levels you're currently charging at.
So if they're looking at this control panel, it should tell them, hey, you're connected to shore power,
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
The alternator is another source of charging. So can you explain first what the alternator does?
Right. So in many RVs, you have the choice of either using the built-in OEM alternator or a secondary alternator. Installing a secondary alternator is quite popular, so I'll talk about that. Essentially, the engine runs an alternator, and that goes directly to your battery system and charges it. And usually it's controlled by either an internal or external regulator that keeps everything in check.
So while you're driving, you could be charging. You don't have to pull over and plug in.
That's correct.
Okay. And how do you know that that is working? Is that also something you'll see on the control panel?
Yes. So oftentimes, you'll have your integrated control panel will tell you that you'll have your alternator is charging. Alternatively, you can see in our Lithionics battery app that the battery is actively being charged. You'll have a positive charge flow going into it.
And so is there anything that you can do to prevent any issues with your alternator charging?
Oh, for sure. So the main thing is just doing your regular maintenance that the manufacturer recommends. So your RV is just like a car. You need to do your annual service and have it looked over. Essentially what goes into that is they make sure everything looks good, all the connections are still tight, your alternator is clean, it's not damaged in any way, and then you should be good to go.
Awesome. And then what about like shore power or converter charging? What are common reasons that your battery might not be charging when they're plugged in?
Right. So it may sound simple, but if the battery is at or near 100% SOC, that indicates that the battery is fully charged. So the charger may actually be paused because it's not trying to overcharge the battery. Further into that, you could potentially have a connection issue. You could either have a tripped circuit breaker or a blown fuse, or potentially even a loose connection somewhere.
So any of those could be the reason why it's not working properly.
Correct.
Yeah. And how can you verify that your converter and inverter are both working?
Well, with your inverter, it's relatively easy. When you're not connected to shore power, you should be able to power your house loads, so like your air conditioner, your appliances and such. For the charger, when you plug into shore power, with minimal loads plugged in, you should be able to see that your battery is actively charging.
Deep discharge can really harm the batteries. Can you explain what exactly that is?
So lithium batteries in general have a lower limit that we call low voltage cutoff that you absolutely should not pass. So we actually have two cutoffs. So we have RVC, which is reserve voltage cutoff, which is at 10%. That gives users a little bit of buffer that's our indication that you should plug in now.
Right.
And then there's the absolute protection limit, which is low voltage cutoff, which is at 0%.
Oh,
and that's
I see.
the point where the BMS protects itself, it cuts off, and it says, no more, you need to get a charger. I'm not going to go any further.
And so all you have to do is plug it in?
Correct.
Oh, it's easy as that.
You need a charging source, and you just turn the BMS back on.
There you go. And then how does a good, charging setup sort of prevent you from, like, what's a good charging setup that might prevent you from getting that low on your battery?
So the vast majority of chargers these days have a lithium profile. So that configures several values to keep you well within the recommended specs of most batteries. We actually have a spec sheet that is available on our support page that gives the exact voltages and ranges that you should be targeting if your charger doesn't do it for you automatically. But we are moving into the next generation of chargers, which provide closed loop feedback. So essentially the BMS is the one controlling the charger. The charger doesn't just go on its own, which allows us to have considerably tighter control over the battery and just about eliminate the chances of either some sort of overvoltage event.
And in general, I think there's sometimes confusion. I think it's so simple that people get confused when they're reading the app. How do they know that it's charging? Is it as simple as, oh, your battery is staying green? Is there a certain setting that shows that it's charged?
So our battery measures net charge, is what we call it. So it shows the final difference between charging and discharging. So if you have, say, your air conditioner on, but you have your chargers going, if you have more charger capacity than what you're pulling with your air conditioner, it will show green in the app indicating that your battery is charging. Now, granted, if you have, say, a 100 amp charger, but you're pulling like 80 amps of load, you're only going to see 20 amps in the app.
Yeah, so if you look at your app, you should be seeing all of your numbers showing as green, right? And then if they're red, that means you're pulling more than you're charging.
Yes, if your current and power are red, that means that you're actively discharging.
So the main things you want to focus on is if your power is too low, you want to plug in. If your power is too high, it's going to stop the charging. And if you're charging and using, depending on the load, you could be charging.
I want to say
no.
I think it's correct, but you just kept adding. I'm sorry, you just kept adding stuff to that, and it's like
it's a lot to follow.
That's a lot to follow, but I don't know if you want to put that in there. I don't want to give the wrong information. I don't want to. It's like you can't generalize a lot of things. It depends on it depends on too many things to list out.
So I think what we learned is most things should be on your panel or your app to be able to tell when you're charging or not, or if you're discharging. If you ever have any questions, Lithionics is available to answer them. We might even have Nick answer them himself. So Nick, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate all your insights. For everyone watching at home, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you feel and what you want to see next. We're always listening, and we hope to see you next one.